Good morning. Uh, One of the things about talking about me, myself, and I know, I go back and I realize how much of a puppet I was in life, following people around, and I would follow them until they got into a dead end. When you go into a dead end, you got to turn back around and face the music. And when I became incarcerated, I became a leader. I didn't realize I had led other people, and it reminded me of how you taught the choir. Well, I used to take people and never sang in their life. And I remember when we was at the Ventura School for Girls. This was up there by Santa Barbara, and it was under the California Youth Authority, and it was a co-ed. So we used to have talent shows, and we all liked them gals. So that gave us an opportunity to get together. I took 5 people, and these guys never sang before in their life, but they had voices. And I'll never forget the song we sang, I found love on a two-way street, you know. And it was harmony and everything. Quite naturally, I played the music. But all through my life and while I was incarcerated, I was always the leader. Because once they found out what I could do, and nobody else, including the staff, they pulled me out. When I first went to the county jail, we had what was known as a group, which included what was known as the Sybil Brand dancers. And what we would do was go to all the county facilities in Los Angeles County and perform live. And quite naturally, I led the band, and I worked with several brand dancers. We even had costumes, and man, we thought we was the Temptations on steroids with the Supremes. Man, that was so exciting, and I'm running things, and I was just doing things, and whatever was not, well, I got my way. And it led to a lot of stuff. And I had so much fun doing it. They eventually sent me to, wow, let's just say I got punished for doing things. Anyway, there was that experience. And eventually I had to go to the state, but I pleaded that I was, they had a program called the Civil Addict Program. And when you was considered under the health and safety codes to be, I'll put it in my term, a dope addict, they put you in a place called CRC, which was the California Rehabilitation Center. And that's where I met Frank Morgan, and I think Holland Wolf had a son. That's where I met him. But anyway, I got into the music program, and when they found out my skills, oh man, it gave me benefits. And even when I got violated, because when you're under the state, they put you under parole. Before you go to the state, they put you on probation. So when you break it, you go back. If you broke probation, that's when they send you to do your time. Your time that you're supposed to do is suspended. But when you are on parole, you get out, and if you make a mistake, like you get a dirty test, or you live beyond your means, or whatever, you're under the, well, let's say your parole officer is your boss and everything else. So you violate him, you go to and suffer. But to make a long story short, I was at the top of my game. I was always at the top of my game while I was incarcerated because I knew how to manipulate the system. But here's the deal. When you're the big fish in a little pond, you begin to outgrow your environment and you start stagnating. Let me tell you this story. In junior high school, a teacher for each subject. One of the subjects I want to talk about is animal husbandry. And it taught me how to plant the seeds and grow the garden, and I learned how to, the first thing I grew was radishes. And you had to till the ground. Remember we talked about that, till the ground until. That's the sun or something. So here's the thing. I learned how to plant seeds and take care of them, and draw the furrows and all that. And then the second project, we used to take seeds and we plant them in a little pot so they can grow into little things and the roots can connect to the ground. But eventually you outgrow the container upon which the dirt is in there and you grow. So when it gets to a certain point, you transplant it to a bigger environment. All the animals, not the animals so much, but the plants. When they get to a certain length, you have to transplant them so that roots can grow and lock in. If they get strained, they're going to die. It's kind of the same if you put a little fish out there too long. You don't find tadpoles in the ocean. They become, not necessarily victims, but some kind of word. You'll pick it up. But now here's the deal. They become prey. And if you're not firmly planted, you will not grow. You'll die, matter of fact. So here I am. As long as I'm incarcerated in a controlled environment, I'm fine until I outgrow the environment. So to say the least, when they put me out of jail or the imprisonment and I'm not prepared for the world, I will kill myself because I can't handle the pressure. So, as long as I was locked up, I was on top of it. I remember when I was in Chino, and Chino is a minimum security. They didn't even have a fence, a gun tower, nothing. But I was playing music, and one day, and they had a golf course. Let me quickly tell you about the golf course. When I first started playing golf, they had a 3-par golf course, and I'm left-handed. So I didn't have no clubs, and I met a guy who was left-handed and been playing golf for his 17 years of when he was there. But I learned how to play a little bit, and I used his clubs, and I was one of those guys. I learned how to do everything with a 3-iron. Putt, hit the ball, strike, all that. You can only imagine how many gophers I shot. But eventually I learned how to play. But what stood out was this one guy. He'd been there for years, and he played golf daily. And he was extremely good at it. I'm pretty sure he can go to the Masters and play. But one day I grabbed him by the side and asked him, I said, man, how do you play so well? He said, you got to concentrate and be in that zone. And you know what it's like when you're in that zone and you concentrated, miracles happen. What other people think you can do, God made you do it. Almost. I can almost say it like that. But what happened with me, I took that to my head and my heart, and the next hole, I think it was the 5 hole over there by the weight pile, and I concentrated and I hit that ball. That ball was a beauty. Now I got to go down there and find the ball. I did not see the ball. I looked over there and over here, and I couldn't find it. And something says, go to the green. I went to the green. I didn't see the ball. I went closer to the hole. Lo and behold, I shot a hole in one. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. I told the guys on the weight pile, it's like you catch the big one when you're fishing. I said, hey guys, I hit a hole in one. They looked at me like, you lying. Kind of took the air of my tire. But true story. And that's to say, when you really feel you can do something and everybody telling you can't, don't believe them. Believe God. That took me throughout the whole period. Because all through, I stopped going to prison after I went to federal prison. And I had the staff dancing and singing and clapping. And when I left, oh man, I might as well have been your favorite president on his last day. Because then I was released, and now I never went back to prison or jail. But now I had to live in the world. I guess I got tired of being that big fish in the little pond. Because I eventually met a pastor at, I think it was at Chino. And he was a school teacher. And I walked in the room trying to get me a nice little job because I didn't want to be out there cleaning up toilets and nothing like that. But first thing he told me was I was out of bounds. And as I was leaving, he didn't have no jobs. I saw this calendar with Phillips Temple on it. And I was not only born and Christian at the Phillips Temple CME Church. He knew about it because he was a pastor. He wasn't even a pastor. He was a minister about to pastor one of the churches in the connection. When I told him what I did and who I knew with the Phillips Temple people, I got favored now because he needed a musician at his church. And I helped him start his church, which started in his living room. And it eventually grew into a bricks and mortar building. And by the way, it's still there. He died many years ago after that. But that church is still in existence. Talk about another miracle through the music. I might as well call this a miracle through music. Because all my life while I was incarcerated, I loved the music and they loved it. And so my popularity on a scale of 1 to 10 was about 10,000. So I finally got out of federal prison, didn't go back and all like that, and now I had to learn how to live out here. It wasn't easy for me because I had to live everywhere I didn't want to live. Skid Row, somebody's backseat of the car, somebody's Andy Gump, because I'm smoking dope now. I was using everything and I had to kind of calm it down, and now I'm living anywhere. I never had a home where I could live until now. I was living everywhere I could find. Tenement houses, living somebody's, oh my God, you name it that I didn't want to do, I was there. Where am I going to go with this? Because eventually I started playing in the church and I was getting favored through that. But all through life, let me point this out with not only me, but a lot of people. I would be one character in one group and another character in one group, and then I got to pretend that I'm all that with their groups and all like that. I used to run around with gangs. I had to pretend that, and I had to pretend a lot of things. But you know what? I never knew who I was, didn't want to know. Maybe too embarrassed. Because one of my things when I was smoking angel dust and stuff, I would go out in the park and see these people. They was just as happy and playing, having the fun. And I'm stuck on trying to get me a girlfriend. You know how that is. I was just not knowing. And I was just living, being a wannabe. And I felt lonely. Well, I guess I was. I didn't know the Lord then. I didn't know about none of that stuff. Didn't know how to act. Because number one, I did not only know the Lord, I didn't read the Bible as a spec. I'm not talking about just no NIVs or nothing. I didn't know about the basic instructions before leaving Earth. That's an acronym. Basic instructions before leaving Earth. Because we're all going to leave here somewhere. As they say, we're going to give up the ghost. Is that the Holy Ghost or the unholy Ghost? You don't know. Well, I don't want to preach. The whole thing I want to do is make me realize, and I know now, because when I thought I was lonely, I really wasn't. Not as a child of God. Eventually, I changed. And I'm going to get that and probably put it in the last chapter. But the struggles that caused me to feel like I'm all by here, or rather all by myself, is like, okay, not only did I feel lonely, I wanted to be happy like that. I want it. And, there's a difference between wants and needs. So it caused me to realize that, hey, and I have to fast forward to today, which I don't want to do right now. I'm still describing the miseries of the past, and that could be, never ending. Until you realize the past is over. And now we have today. And today, right now, I'm doing fine. Wait until